Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Sunday, guys. Want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as seasoned. I got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Sunday, guys. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. Going to jump right in. So I'm playing catch up with emails, so I'm going to kind of lump some together during each recording. So today I want to speak about, again, everything I say is my opinion. No facts, just opinions. I want to speak about, sorry, I went blank for a moment. Why people are jealous of you. A female wanted me to address that. Next, someone is really struggling because they didn't have like that traditional family growing up. In fact, she's always been very disconnected from her parents. She feels like she don't have that typical family foundation. And what was the third thing? Someone emailed me in regards to the last several recordings I've made on being burnt out and tired. So let's just kind of lump everything together. Okay, I want to start with why people are jealous of you. Okay, I've said this before, several times actually. As a chosen one, as the person, who God uses as a vessel, again, you were always different, etc., etc., etc. Well, before we could even see the light in ourselves, the favor on our lives, others could see that, even though we were not tapped in to know what that was. So I think many of us, are just now coming into really realizing truly the light that other people saw. Because we're now under open heaven, so we're seeing the favor. We're seeing how God is just advancing our lives. Well, these individuals, and it's not everybody, of course, right? But these selective group of individuals, they saw that before we were able to even see that. So because the enemy knows, of course, where God was taking your life, then who did he use? He uses people, right? He uses systems and people, etc., etc. And many times those are going to be the people closest to you, the people who are, maybe you went to school with, or maybe some friends or who you thought was really friends, but in fact, Satan used them to turn your life upside down. These can be your siblings, your own parents, your own family, etc., etc., etc. So Satan will use the people closest to you. Of course, not all, not everybody. It's never a one size fits all category. Because these are the people you love. So if anybody is judgmental or hating on you for whatever reason, and they're distant people, you just see it as you're just hating. You're just hating. For whatever reason, you're just hating. But when it's people the closest to you, the people that you genuinely love, and these people reject you, or these people are just as hateful as an enemy in the street could be, that breaks you down. That breaks your soul, because you will go the bats for anybody in your family or anybody in your closest circle, regardless if you guys get along or not. No one in the street can ever say or do anything to someone who is considered someone in your family or someone you love. So to have family members or close people in your lives who would be equivalent to the people just in the random streets who hate you, that's heart-wrenching, because you could never. But Satan used it as a target early on. This is why many times the chosen ones were targeted early on. You're not targeted in your 20s, 30s, 40s. You still deal with the aftermath, but Satan's whole objective was to knock you off extremely early. This is why many of the chosen people went through so much very, 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 very early on in life. You can remember things that has happened to you in elementary school, middle school, etc., etc. You hold on. You held on to it. Hopefully you have healed and freed yourself. But those are things that you will never forget, because that's how profound they were. And then you're sitting there trying to question and figure out, but why? How? I mean, how can you hate someone that loves you so much? How can you dislike someone who will go to the bats for you? I can't understand it. Well, it's because you're trying to understand it in the physical realm. In the spiritual realm, you were a target from the very beginning. This is why it's important to heal. This is why it's important to push past fear and be sure you are walking within your purpose and your calling. Because if you were someone who was called and God wanted to use you in the forefront, but you're still very shy, timid, and you're kind of hiding behind the scenes, not because that's your personality per se, but because people have always tried to force you to dim your light out of jealousy and things like that. They try to force you to dim your light. Sorry, guys. It is so important for you to make sure that you heal and you get on the course that God originally had designed for you. Because if you don't, Satan won. The target was to knock you off course, to disable you, so you would never ever become the person that God always wanted to use. So you have different type of people. You have those individuals like that where people hated on them and they went through so much that they're still hiding. They're still timid. They're still shy. They don't know how to find their voice. They don't know how to speak up. You have that group. And then you have the group like myself who always knew that there was something more, being the visionary I am, something more. So I'm going to keep walking even though they're throwing dots. I'm going to keep walking if that requires limping and walking, if that requires taking a hit and crawling and getting up and walking. I'm going to keep walking because I'm not going to allow the enemy to knock me off of the original course that God has. So then you have these people like me who have found their voice and they're using it, right? They're taking that hurt, pain, whatever that everyone goes through different things, but I believe the chosen one goes through more. It's more deep. It's more hurt. It's more pain because we just can't understand why. But now we know because there was always a light. There was always favor. We just couldn't see it. So now it's clear as day. Now I get it. Many of you get it from reading your email. Some of you are still struggling to get it. Why would my own mother not like me? Why would my own auntie not like me? Why would my own brother or my sister hate me when I would chop somebody's heads off for them, even though we may not get along? So you're still wrestling with trying to understand, but that's the flesh. It will never make sense in the flesh. You have to see it from the spiritual view. Remember now, we can't choose family, right? We can choose friends and lovers or whatever. We don't choose family. Family members are given to us. And let's be clear, that's not every family because some families are locked in. Like, let's say, like take the Kardashians, for example. You can say what you want to say about them. You can say what you want to say about them. But you will never, ever see them going against each other. You will never, ever see them allowing an outside individual to come in and play with the other sibling or the other parent any kind of way. They're locked in. That loyalty factor, regardless of their whatever else they got going on, that loyalty factor when it comes down to family is solid. Solid. And that's how family should be. But that's not the norm for some families, right? There's sibling rivalry for different reasons. So that's why, my sis, that people many times, not all, are jealous of you because, again, they were able to see that light before you could see it. But I only hope and pray and wish truly that you finally understand that it was never you and that you finally heal from that so you can truly move forward and get all the blessings that God has for you, because the best retaliation is success, right? And success, for me, again, success does not equate to money and et cetera, et cetera. It's just you're living in your true, authentic purpose, right? Peace and happiness. And realizing that anything that Satan tried to use against you, he didn't win, right? It may have crippled you for some time, but ultimately, you're still standing. Take that pain and use it for power. There's power in pain, but sometimes we don't know how to direct it. So before you know it, it's in other areas that don't even matter. Just nonsense. Also another reason why, listen, I didn't chuckle. I did chuckle. I chuckled for like 20 minutes after hearing Pastor Blake say this morning. I think it was the Easter service at New Orleans, but it was it was playing today, showing today. So as he was preaching, the one thing he was talking about was judgmental folks who, again, are hiding behind, quote unquote, religion or God or whatever they're trying to hide behind, right? They're throwing shade, but that shade is really personal, but they're trying to make it seem, scripture. So he was just saying how when these young guys come to church with their ball caps on or whatever, like, stop judging people. Allow God to convict and transform people in his own time, right? Stop judging people. And then he said, and to those of you women who are judging females because their dress may be what you think is too short, you only feel that way because you can't even wear that dress. Listen. Woo! Listen, I paused that recording and I listened back to like 5 times of him saying that, because that's something that I've always wanted to say, but I was trying to, just kind of not wanting to hurt anybody's feelings, if you will. But a lot of times, that's exactly what it is. People will try to take and use the religion or twist God's words about that nonsense about, oh, your dress is too short and all this stuff. You're showing too much legs. Honey, you're only really feeling that way because you can't wear this dress. So rather than you take and work on your own personal life, right? Getting your confidence up, getting your self-esteem up, getting your body intact, if that's what you want to do, then do that. But because you choose and refuse to work on self and self-esteem and et cetera, right? Because you can't wear it, you now want to judge someone else who can, but try to run behind religion. Child boo. It ain't got nothing to do with no religion. You can't wear it, but now child, okay. Kizzy, move for it. But honey, let me just tell you, when I heard that, I had a petty moment. I had a petty moment. I was screaming up in my house, like, yes, Pastor, yes. So that too. People who are very insecure, sis, for their own reasons, you may come across as confident, and you may be very, very confident within for real, right? But again, as women or as people, we still struggle with certain things, but ultimately that should not be the core thinking or the core way you feel about yourself if you're having a bad day or a bad week, even a bad month sometimes per se. But people who are extremely insecure because they refuse to work on themselves, they can look at you and dislike you because they feel like maybe you get too much attention. Maybe they feel like you got one up on them. And the truth of the matter is you have your own internal struggles. The truth of the matter is if they go and work on themselves, they can do, say, wear what they want, whatever, but that's not people. It's easier for some people, to judge you, because in judging you and focusing on you, it makes it easier for them to not focus on their own flaws, their own vices. So this is why it's important to stand your ground, period. When someone's coming against you, don't take that energy as if you're the problem. You're not the problem. So when you come for me, I'm gonna revert you back to yourself. All right. Let me dig up in your life right quick, so I can tell you why you're up over here trying to throw shade, why you up over here acting like you hiding behind religion, but it's really your own insecurities, right? So let me help you dig up your life so we can figure out why you up over here, jealous up over here, right? So it's not you, it's them. It's them. March to the beat of your own drums. Don't worry about people. Most people are miserable. Most people are unhappy, and that's why they're up in your life. Stay true to who you are. Hold your head up high. Period. Allow no one to intimidate you. You got to know who you are in God. I've been in rooms where I've been the only black individuals. I've been in rooms where I've been the only female. But when I walk in these rooms, I'm going to demand my respect. You're going to look me in my eyes. Or I'm going to look you in your eyes, I should say. Look in your eyes. You're going to respect me, period. Because I know who I am. So you got to know who you are within God. Because see, when you know who you are within God, no flesh can't move you. I don't care what kind of money you got. I don't care what kind of preconceived power you got. Because as we see right now, power is falling every single day, right? But the saints are moving in. I don't care about none of that stuff. You're not going to tell me where I can be, where I can live, I'm going where I want to go. And when I get there, I will be respected. Point blank, period. But you have to know who you are in God, because people will intimidate you if you don't know who you are. People will discount you if you don't know who you are. You're not going to tell me what you're going to pay me. I'm going to demand my price. Either you meet that price or you don't. Period. But you got to get yourself to that point. And I believe personally, the only way we can get to that point is when we know who we are in God, the spiritual realm. The flesh is just ignorant and petty. The spiritual realm and being solidified and knowing who you are in God is power. Period. And most people are intimidated by that because they don't know who they are. So it's not about you, sis. Stay true to who you are. Stay true to who you are. Allow no one to change you. No one. Period. What was the other question? Oh, sis who is struggling because she never had a traditional family. Her mother was she said crackhead, drug addict, whatever, respectfully, I guess. Her mother was a drug addict. Her father was just no better. She's currently in her early 30s, but she's struggling because it's almost like she feels like she's going to leave Earth someday and never, ever got to experience the traditional family. The family that you hear about, where everybody's so close-knitted, right? Everybody got each other's back. They're loyal, like that mother who would chop someone's head off for her child. Like that type of, she'd never, or the father who would just, protect everybody. She never had that. And she's still trying to, there's still the struggle between her and her mother, where the mother she feels like it's still making excuses, that, okay, she was on drugs. She didn't know any better. The drugs had her, all that stuff like that. But there's still this tug of war of her still wanting her mother to be that mother that she never had. So what I was telling her is, well, I get it. I mean, I do, but I don't, because my mother's that mother, like, listen, you mess with her kids, like the claws coming out. Like for real, right? So I don't know what it's like to not have that family member who would not do everything for their children, right? But I have two friends who are dealing with what you're dealing with. Either they have that relationship where the mother is jealous of the daughter. I just can't even begin to understand that, But obviously that's other internal issues that the parent themselves have to deal with, right? Because maybe that parent went through certain things in their childhood that you will never know about. But at the end of the day, whatever, it's not the regular family unit. Sis, here's what I've learned. Not personally, but just in life. Sometimes you're going to have to accept that that's something that you may never have in the traditional form of, the structure and family growing up, especially because here you're still in this toxic, quote unquote, toxic back and forth. We're trying to get your mother to understand what she should have done, what she still ain't doing, etc., etc. She's still not going to learn. And you say you're stressed out, you're constantly on 10, you're constantly frustrated. It's a toxic environment because she just will not get it. Maybe she will never get it. Maybe she gets it, but her pride will not allow her to allow you to know that. Maybe she don't get it because maybe she never even had that. But one thing that I've seen is God will give you a family, right? That may not be, you're in your 30s now. So she really can't mother you at this point, right? She can be a great grandmother if she chooses to clean up her life, etc., etc. But God will give you a whole husband who is healthy and who have that same type of structure, balance, character when it comes down to like that family foundation. Give you children, or if you happen to meet someone who's older, maybe they already have children. But the fact is, the connection, that bond, that love will be the same type of family structure that you always desired. So I think times we have to change our perspective. We're trying to get something from people who just can't give it to us. There are people who are adults, 30s, 40s, and 50s, and they're still blaming their parents from things that happened in childhood, right? Not saying that parents shouldn't be held accountable. It's more so less saying that you have to take accountability for your life now. You may have to accept that. You may have to forgive what she did or did not know, where you can leave all that stuff behind, because that's heavy. That's heavy. And then free yourself so you're now open to receive the husband, because you said you're single. Receive the husband that God may have designed for you that will give you that same family structure that you've yearned for all of your life. Sometimes water is thicker than blood. We're conditioned to think blood is this and blood is that. And most times blood is the most toxic. Sometimes blood hates you. You couldn't pick them. They were given to you. But now you have a choice to pick, right? And choose or accept, I should say, people who are loyal, people who really love you to your core, people who can give you the balance and the structure and all that stuff that you've always yearned for. It may not be a traditional mother and father, but it'll be your husband and your children, or his children and your children, whatever, a blended family, but it's that structure that will love on you the way you've always desired and deserved. Free yourself. Free yourself. Some things will never, ever, in this lifetime, ever be what you wanted, what you expected, or what you deserve until you change your perspective and understand that it can come from a different direction. What was the third thing? It was jealousy, the family structure. I'm getting a lot of emails in regards to those last several recordings I've made and being burnt out and the chosen one just constantly. I was listening to, I don't listen to like a lot of people. Of course, you guys know I'm crazy about Pastor R.C. Blake's, but I'm also crazy about Pastor Dale Bronner, or Bishop Dale Bronner. I really like his teachings too. And here we go again. Every recording that I'm listening to this week is talking about, burnt out and things like that. and learning how to put up boundaries. So, he was just saying as well, actually, I'll tag that recording in this description, but he was talking about the same thing, how takers don't have limits, right? Takers don't have limits, so givers have to create limits, because takers are going to take regardless if you're tired, you're burnt out, regardless if you're crawling on your knees and crying that you're tired. They will keep taking and taking and taking and taking. So as a giver, you have to create limits, of course, by connecting to God to find out what those limits are. Because when you're overwhelmed and you're burnt out like that, you can't even hear from God. You are missing other assignments. You are missing other people. You are missing other moments that you can't even reach, because this one or this thing is constantly burning you out, and you don't have the grace no longer on that. When you have grace on something, it can't wear you down like that. Not to say that it won't be challenging or frustrating at times, but I'm talking about that type of frustration and that type of draining that have you crawling on your knees and you can't even hear anybody, to the point that your mind is almost slipping. When grace is on a situation, it may be challenging, but it's not draining to that degree. So I'll be sure to tag his recording in this description. So I hope this helps you guys. You guys have a great Sunday, and just keep doing you. Point blank, period. With your girl, Kizzy Rock.